Hey everybody, it's Gail, and today I have a 1950s top, mostly finished, although it might not look like it. But some confusion in the pattern has led to an error that I will also be discussing. But first of all, let's look at what it's supposed to look like. So here's the pattern photo. This is a V-neck top, and as you can see, the V-neck I've got. I'm not actually worried about that. You work single crochet around for 4 rows at the end of this, pulling in at the bottom here, working a 3-stitch decrease at the bottom of your round. So that's going to pull it up. I'm not worried about that. It is, while there is no boob on display in the pattern photo, it is a very deep V, so I think that's all fine. And I also think the back is fine. So the way you make the back, obviously this is a sleeve. And what actually happens is you make the main part of the back first. You make the sleeve kind of starts, for lack of a better term, next, and then you stitch all of them together across. And then, let me get behind it here. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. And then you work across, decreasing every row on each end so that you get this nice slope on the back. And you will notice the front does not have that slope. The front, if you look at it from the side here, I can bring us a little closer. I'm forever fighting how close I can actually get with the camera. Okay, I did pin this. Here we go. So the front here, this is, you make the front the same way as the back. And then this is where the confusion started for me, because it said to work it until it was an inch past the front sleeve join, I think is how it was phrased. But the pattern doesn't tell you to make another set of the sleeves. And you might think, well, yeah, of course you need to make another set of the sleeves. Here's the thing. My gauge on this is perfect. I checked it several times. This is fingering weight yarn. You're working on an H hook. The pattern says you need 8 ounces for the size that I made, this is the 38. And I had 5 skeins of 50-gram Lindy chain fingering from Knit Picks. 50 grams is about 1.7 ounces rounding down. It's like 1.76 ounces when you type it in, but let's say 1.7. 1.7 times 5 is 8.5. So I should have had enough yarn to make this whole thing without a problem. And so when I got to the front of this, what should have cued me into knowing that, oh, hey, maybe I need to kind of reevaluate, because I thought it was a typo in the pattern saying where the front joined the sleeves. I thought it meant the back. I did. And so I thought it was a typo. And part of why I thought it was a typo was because I had used over half the yarn making the back. And again, this is all to gauge, and it's the correct yarn weight, and it is, I had 8.5 ounces when I was told I needed 8. And so when I got to the point that I was going to the front piece and I only had 2 skeins left, I thought, well, when you say to form the sleeves, the outside edge is the same as before, you mean I should just do the decreases up the side of the front, which is what I did. And it was only after I got it pinned here on Kenny that I realized, oh shit, no, there's probably supposed to be a whole other sleeve here, and it's a dolman cut. You go up and under the arms and you go across the shoulders, but you can't tell that from the pattern photo. And they didn't tell me that I needed more yarn. So that is where we are now. I have the front and the back done. I have the tiniest amount of the final skein of this left. I had to order 1 skein of this to finish it, and it's on its way. And so this is definitely a fuck up, but I'm going to try to fix it. I really am. I think there is a way to sort of come in here and like use the short edge of the sleeve and match it down here. And then once that's in, sort of bring up the top of the sleeve and maybe do a gather at the top so that there is a sleeve. It's not going to be the exact sleeve in the pattern photo, but I do think it's fixable. And so I'm going to give it a shot. So that was very annoying because I was checking and rechecking my gauge because I was like, I'm going through a lot of yarn. Like, it says 8 ounces. Okay, let me double check that I actually have. Okay, I have that. Okay, but what if they were like, what if all of the skeins were like a tiny bit short and came in at 49 grams, which is something that can happen. It's still 1.7 ounces. And then I was going through the whole process and I just realized it's not the right amount of yarn. How much yarn should you be using? I'm not sure. I would say actually, if you want to make this, add 2 ounces to whatever amount it says you need. I think that's probably a good rule. Because like I said, I've got another skein coming, so I can do the finishing work. And it's 1.7 ounces, same as the rest of them. The other thing about this is I actually, the first time doing the back of this, the join wasn't a problem. Joining the little sleeve bits was not the problem. The problem was the instructions on how to decrease are a little bit unclear because you do a decrease at the end of the row and they explain that. That's easy. It's the first of row decreases that was throwing me off, and it was saying skip cluster first chain, do a cluster in the next chain. And so I thought we were counting the decrease as a cluster because you make it a cluster at the end of it. And so I actually had to frog out back to the starting join of the back and redo the whole thing. And that's one of those things that it's slightly unclear language. It causes these kinds of hiccups. I will have that on the errata page, just because I think a visual might be easier, or writing it out a little bit differently so that it's skip the decrease of the previous rows, skip the first 2 chains, skip the first cluster. Like there's a way to write it so it's very clear what you're working in, and you don't have to take out 2.5 skeins of work. Yeah, this one was a fun one. So that's where I am with all of this. I'm going to go and I'm going to try to figure out one sleeve. And once I know what I'm doing, I will come back and try to explain it, but I don't make any promises. So I will be back soon. Alrighty, so none of my ideas for how to fix the sleeves worked, like even close. So we are not going to worry about that now. I considered, after figuring out that just like trying to shape it wasn't going to work, I considered maybe trying to add the necessary parts to the front of the top and then sewing them together that way, but looking at it, it wasn't going to give me the same drape as if I had made it correctly. And so with that decided, I did follow the rules for the neckline. So that's just, I think 3 rows of single crochet with a decrease in the middle to get the nice V shape. And then on the back, I just sort of tried to make it look like a fancy knot. Ooh, so pretty. So let me get this on so you can actually see it, because it's got some beautiful drape to it. This, I think this is Lindy chain I said. I know I told you what it was earlier on. But yeah, like, just lovely drape. Looks really nice. Of course, it's very open stitch. Here's the back, so you can decide for yourself if you like it or not. I actually showed it to Sean to get his opinion. He goes, "Is it tangled?" I'm like, "Oh, God damn it." But, you do what you do. The other thing to note is making this to the exact measurements minus the sleeve bit I'm missing. The V-neck is super duper low. And the thing is, if the sleeves were actually attached properly, I think this neck would have come up just a little bit, but it really is meant to be very low. So you just want to be aware of that. If it's too low for you and you've, actually put the sleeves on, my recommendation is just do a couple of more rounds of single crochet around the neck and keep pulling it in, and maybe instead of the 3-stitch decrease it says to do on those last couple of rows, do a 5-stitch decrease, because that's really going to pull it in at that bottom there where you're worried. I added little ties, and because I thought I thought the ties would go well with the sort of vibe I was going for, now that I was sort of making it up as I went to try to fix an error. And so, yeah, I'm happy with it. It's going to do what I need to do, which is be a summer top. I love the color, I really do. I'm not usually one for browns, but this dark brown I thought was really nice, and I was right. So it's all in one piece, it's all together. I wish I had caught the mistake about the sleeves, but shit happens, and when shit happens, we improvise. So there you go. I will have a link to the pattern down in the basement if it is not still on Etsy, which is where I'm pretty sure I bought it. Or I can't find it some other place. I'll just, as always, drop it into the files on my website so you can grab it. I think it's fun, easy to size up or size down, and not a complicated pattern once you understand sort of where I tripped up. I have also added the errata that I found to the vintage pattern errata page. That will be linked in the basement to help you out as well. So yeah, I think that's it. If you enjoy what I do here, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all of that fun stuff, and I will see you when I see you.